All right, guys, you ready? I love meeting people who are in a completely different profession, but we've landed on the same decisions about how we want to practice. And when I was researching who I want to have on the Staffless Practice podcast, Aaron's name came up, and I'm so glad that it did. So let's start with Aaron. Who are you? Where are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
Hey, Jody. Thank you for having me on the show. My name's Dr. Aaron LeBauer. I'm a Sagittarius, number one.
Wow.
Number two, I'm a physical therapist. I started 26 years ago as a massage therapist, and then I taught I did that, and then along the way, I taught yoga for a few years. I trained with kettlebells for 6 years, and I do lots of hands-on MFR, corrective exercise, some dry needling, a couple other things like that. What else? 12, 13 years ago, I started helping other physical therapists and some acupuncturists and chiropractors and massage therapists launch cash-based practices. I've never taken insurance in my life. I've always worked for myself. I'm probably a really good employee if you give me a goal, but I think I'm a bad employee overall. Let's see, I think that's about it. I've helped thousands of people launch and scale cash-based practices over the last 12 years. And
tell us more about cash.
Cool.
I've always had a cash-based practice. Mm-hmm. It hasn't really been a choice. It's just what I do, right? So tell us more about that, especially there are people listening who are doing all kinds of things and putting it in a PT box or a chiro box. And it seems like most of their time is spent dealing with insurance. So let's talk to them.
Yeah, I think here's, when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, I was born in 1973.
Me too.
Really? Nice.
Yeah, but I'm a Cancer.
Yeah, well, we've got 5 or 6.
We have a lot in common, and I love kettlebells.
Yeah, nice. So, my father's a cardiologist. My grandfather was a family physician. My uncles were all physicians. And I got to see the way that they practiced before the 90s was they would sit down and talk to their patients for 15, 20 minutes, or they'd do an exam, and then the patient would go into their office and they'd sit and chat with them. And it was more about just, here's what's wrong. And your MRI says this, so I got to do an injection to see if it works. I mean, they would actually talk to them. They knew them, their families. I mean, I would go around town and people were like, is your father Joe LeBauer? Oh my God, he saved my life. And it's like, it was cool, but kind of creepy. But at the same time, I got to see my grandfather practice until his late 70s, and he'd go in 2 or 3 days a week and just talk to his patients. When I got to PT school, as a student, my first clinical rotation, I saw 43 patients in one day. So I'm working 8, I had to get there at 7:30, and I was there until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And on this rotation, I was working a lot. I was like, my father, he worked 150 hour weeks. No big deal. I can do it. I quickly realized my classmates weren't doing this, weren't working that hard. But I saw 43 patients in one day. And here I am, I've already been a massage therapist for 8 years, working with people who had told me that they had already been to PT, surgery, chiropractic, acupuncture, and nothing worked. And I was the first person to touch them where they hurt. And I'm sitting here going, okay, no one's going to, I'm going to have to start I'm going to have to just stay cash. I'm just going to have to I was already charging $85 an hour as a massage therapist at that time, which was about twice what the hospital was paying PTs. And I was like, well, I'm just going to do that. And because no one's going to hire me to treat patients the way that I think they need to be seen, or the way that, the system was failing them. And my clinical instructor said, no one's going to pay more than their copay for PT. And I said, well, let's talk in 3 years and we'll find out. And it was really that need, as a massage therapist, people were coming to me and saying, hey, PT didn't work. Okay, so now I'm going to go and practice in a model that isn't working for a lot of people. Number one, it's pretty much based on time. You don't have enough time to really problem solve. And that's the number one thing I do for people is I can sit and problem solve with you over a couple of different sessions. No one's going to reprimand me for getting you better faster or spending more time with you than is reimbursed. And that was really the number one thing, is it was instilled to me that patient comes first and what the patient needs. And when I was working as a student in insurance-based practices, I'm sitting here having to make decisions. Well, Is the boss going to be upset? Is the insurance company going to pay for this? Is the surgeon going to be upset if I disagree with them? You know,
Right.
if the surgeon says you've got bursitis, and I'm like, that's not bursitis. You know, like, okay, the patient can go back and they're like, well, you know, Aaron LeBauer, the PT, said it's not bursitis and that you're wrong. And the surgeon's gonna be like, well, I'm never sending him, you know, patient again, you know, versus Dr. LeBauer, the decision maker, you know, and that's what it's allowed me to do, is step outside of that loop and not have to worry about what other people think about my decisions.
You know, I envy your open door with MDs, surgeons, because often, and it's not always the case, but often with chiropractic, they have to have a personal story where a chiropractor changed their life, or a chiropractor is near and dear to their heart, to say, well, to give the chiropractor's word clout. And I feel like physical therapists, there's automatically a rapport or a relationship.
Well, sort of.
Tell me more.
So the thing is physical therapists traditional physical therapists are implementers of the physician's plan of care. We were physician's extenders. So they're still treated that way. A lot of PTs still practice like, oh, I need the referral. I need a script from your physician. They don't call themselves doctor. They call, oh, I need from your doctor. And it's getting better, but even younger physical therapists being told this in school, like, don't refer to yourself as doctor, you know, defer to the surgeon, to their protocol. So,
Wow.
and as cash, so that's still there. Like, yes, we have an open door if in a traditional practice model, but we're still implementing physician's orders rather than, you know, that doesn't, I'm making a generalization,
Yeah.
but then when, you know, because I don't take insurance, I've had physicians say, you know what, I'd send you patients except you don't take their insurance, or only if you took their insurance. And that's not what's right for the patient. That's not allowing the patient to decide, you know, what to do with their money. And when I get referrals from physicians, they're usually not good, because why would the patient pay $75 copay, even $150 copay to see the surgeon, God, right? God on earth, and then pay me twice as much to implement their decision? You know, like, that just doesn't, it's not as cohesive once I've stepped out of the insurance model. It's very different.
Well, I commend you for finding what works and running with it. And
Thank you.
I did buy your book.
Oh, you did? Nice.
I'm a fan. And
Thank you so much.
I'm just going to read one paragraph because it popped to me, like it really jumped out at me. We do a lot of educating in the staffless practice world about really narrowing down who is the person you're solving the problem for, so that you can speak to them when you put all this energy and time and money into marketing and growing your practice. Right. And you say, I help active people who want to stay fit, healthy, and mobile without medications, injections, or surgery. Those are my patients. Most of them have back pain. Most of them have chronic pain and unresolved pain. And I see plenty of people with hip, knee, neck, foot, ankle, jaw, pretty much everything. Even weird things you wouldn't think PT or hands-on can help. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But if I can get in and reassure someone that their problem isn't the end of the world, that helps tremendously. To have someone sit and listen to them, even if I can't physically change what's happening, people love that. People don't get that anywhere else, especially in the current model. Talk to me about that paragraph. Really great.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's been a while since I wrote that. It was cool. I think, you know, everyone's told, oh, you've got the worst blank I've ever seen, right? Or, oh no, you've got arthritis. Oh, or herniated disc. Oh, that's the end of the world, basically, is what they're being told. And people are like, oh, I've got a herniated disc. You know, I'm like, well, how long ago did you have the MRI? Oh, 25 years ago. Well, you know, like, well, hernia discs heal, like,
and you're still owning that. You're still owning that title.
Yeah. So, and I tell people, they're like, well, my doctor told me I have the worst spine they've ever seen. I said, you know what? If you actually had the worst spine you've ever seen, then I wouldn't hear that every week. You know, they're just saying this, they think, to make you feel better, but it actually, what it does, it's harmful. You know, and I think people aren't given the opportunity to ask questions. They aren't given or they feel pressured. They're like, well, I don't want to bother so-and-so. And they only have 15, 20 minutes. Or someone comes in, and I've had so many patients come in, like, they gave me an injection, didn't really like ask permission. They're like, we're going to do an injection to see if it works. And then they're like, they didn't even give the person the opportunity to ask, well, what are the side effects, or is this really necessary, et cetera. And I think that a lot of people, they respond well to listening and to touch, and just allowing, having some time to tell what's going on, and then from there I can problem solve some things. But I tell people I can't take away the arthritis, but the arthritis isn't like the end game. We can get you back to running if that's what you really want to do. And I've, so I think that's, and it's more, a lot of what I do isn't activity modification, but that's what a lot of people need. They're trying to go from 0 to 100 miles an hour, and no one's giving them anything in between.
I think that because of how much of our lives are on one screen and one dimensional, it's changed a lot over the past 25 years, where when someone comes to me, I know in the back of my mind and my heart that this person is looking for connection. They're looking to be listened to. They're looking to be touched, because we need that. And someone, I don't remember who it was, said to me, you may be the only person that touches this person in the next 3 months, 6 months, year. So be mindful and bring that to the service or the treatment or the adjustment. Talk to me about how this has changed for you over, how long have you been in practice?
Let's see, I got out of massage therapy school in 1999. So I've been touching people for a living for 26 years.
Yeah, me too. There's another checkbox for what we have in common.
And then, I went to PT school in 2000. I graduated in 2008. And, I think that one of the biggest things that's changed for me over the years in the way I treat patients. Is that the question? Kind of like how I touch people?
Yeah, I want to hear how it's evolved.
Yeah. So when I first started as a massage therapist, I didn't really, you're not treating sick people or hurt people. You're treating people that kind of hurt, but I didn't know when they'd get better. And the whole thing is, it's a wellness service. So come in once a month or once a week or once every few months, whatever works for you. And as a PT, one of the reasons I went that route was, one of the things that would help me with is, how do I tell people when they're going to get better, or give them this prognosis? Really what's happened, I think one of the most pivotal things that I learned was I studied the SFMA, the Selective Functional Movement Assessment, with Gray Cook. I went to Kyle Kiesel and the guy that runs the Titleist Performance Institute. He's a chiropractor. Can't remember his name, but
watch how people move. And
So really what it is, it's a systematic kind of view, like, in 2 minutes, it's all the cervical motions, your shoulder motions, rotation, toe touch, extension, stand on one leg, and squat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then I can break them down. And so what we're really looking for is which joint is stiff, what muscles are tight, or does it feel tight and painful, but the joints aren't stiff and the muscles aren't stiff when I get you out of gravity? So if I can look at you in gravity and then take you out of gravity and isolate it, then I can be a really, good detective or ninja about, okay, if I have one opportunity to stick a needle in you, because a lot of people don't like it, where am I going to put that?
He's talking about acupuncture.
Dry needling. Not acupuncture. Dry needling. Yeah. Not acupuncture, dry needling. So if I'm going to do that and it's really uncomfortable, what's the one place I need? Or, how do I see people in, one person in 45 minutes and get them an outcome when I'm seeing them once a week? It's because I can figure out more closely where the movement fault is. So as a massage therapist, I treat a lot of different places. So I had a patient recently who had some knee pain, on right side knee pain with his jumping and squatting, and it's been going on for a while. He's treated well, like a fitness professional, but, just thought that, it wasn't going to get much better. And I took him through this movement assessment. He actually came in to trial our soft wave treatment, which is shockwave, for his right knee. And I looked at him, I was like, well, it's your left ankle that's the problem. Your right knee moves well, it feels good, it's not swollen. And I treated his left ankle, some soft tissue, some needling, manipulation, and it reduced his knee pain like 30% in the first visit, and significantly over the next few visits. And it was all like opposite leg because of the activities he was doing. But most people are going to focus just on where it hurts.
Where it hurts.
So that's what's really changed for me and how I practice these days.
Right.
Yeah.
I think part of that is maturity, like not chasing it to make the patient smile, and
Right.
really going for creating a solution. And I want to pivot. I want to zoom out a little bit. If I'm in an elevator with you and we have from floor 1 to floor 10, for you to tell me how you help other PTs, chiros, whomever, what do you do with them? What do you teach them?
I teach them how to do more in less time, so really, everyone says I'm too busy. I said, well, it's not my job to give you more busy work. It's my job to, focus your time and efficiency. So help you make more money in the same or less amount of time, and help more people.
And you do that through coaching them?
Yeah, through business coaching, through teaching them systems, giving them, like we've white labeled like a Go High Level product, which is, allows us to give you like welcome onboarding sequences and things like that, save you time once you get it installed. I've been doing that, I did that with Active Campaign for, 8 years, and then High Level came out and we moved over to that.
Right.
I do that by, kind of also analyzing your time in business and saying, okay, here's the bottleneck. The number one problem is most people, their biggest bottleneck is they're doing too much, or they're terrible at sales and they don't want to, look themselves in the mirror and do some work,
Yeah. Or, we talk a lot about having the right people, the who, not how concept, where you may never, no matter what you read, no matter what you study, no matter how hard you practice, sales may never be your jam, or education may never be your jam, whatever it is. And there's nothing wrong with finding the right person who they could run circles around you. Billing is another example of this. Right. There's no reason for you to spend half of your working hours figuring out your billing. And especially I want to pivot to that. Talk to me a little bit about if I know a lot of chiropractors and PTs who, if you said to them, it's possible to not take insurance and make a great living as a practice owner, I can hear them saying, oh, that's not for me. No, maybe for you, but not for me. Talk to me about that.
I think, I think there's a couple things. It's the belief that, I'm not special, or I can't help people more. And I think part of that is we're thinking it in the wrong way. Is like, if I go cash and I try to sell chiropractic and physical therapy, why would someone choose me over insurance? Was because we can't sell physical therapy or chiro or acupuncture. We have to sell something else. We almost have to turn and sell the result. That's where what you read earlier, USP, comes in. It's like, I help a specific amount of people get a different result than what they're normally getting, which is a sheet of exercises, or something. And then it's we can actually make money because our time is valuable. And what I really love is that now the decisions between myself and the patient, and it gives the patient agency, so that it's not a third party paying me. And the patient goes, well, it just cost me $20 or $50. Like, whatever, I don't need to go today. They're paying $300
to it, right?
Yeah. And they're going to do the work. Like, people contact me all the time. It's like, oh, we've got this great app that helps keep your patient compliant with their home exercise. I'm like, that's never been my problem. Yeah, it's not a problem that I have, because my patients pay enough that they do the work. I think that's a big piece of it. And if you don't want to go cash, that's okay. Eventually everyone's going to have to. I mean, copays are getting high enough that we have to provide some value anyways. At some point, this is
insurance, like to even have, if you're not part of a huge big box company or some kind of group plan, it is crazy expensive to have health insurance in the United States.
Yeah.
I was reading last night about the story of CarMax and how their goal was to sell used cars in a way that spoke to all of the most common concerns about buying a used car.
Right.
And they would put the elephant in the center of the room. And that's how they sell, is, hey, look at the elephant that you're concerned about, and if it was me and I was your practice member out in your community, and you said to me, Jody, I'm going to be the best PT you've ever been to, and I'm going to help you run that half marathon or whatever it is, but you're going to pay me out of pocket because I'm worth my time, I would happily invest, as long as I had that money, reserved for
Right.
self-care. So what do you say to the PT or the chiro or whomever it is who's in an area where people can't necessarily afford to pay $90, $150, whatever it is to invest in their health moving forward?
Yeah.
How do you handle
I've helped dozens of PTs do 20, 30K months in towns with like 10,000 people, 5,000 people. I mean, it doesn't matter how small it is or how many people you think can't afford it. Number one is don't judge someone else's wallet for them.
Yes, that's such a
You
good
know,
piece of advice.
if they value what they do, they'll find a way to afford it. And if, there's two things like I can't afford it and then I don't have the money. One's a lack of value and the other is actual condition that, there's no money in the bank. And for people that there's a condition that there's not enough money, versus the person that rolls up in a BMW and is like, I can't afford it. I'm like, okay, right. You have an iPhone, you can afford cash-based care because they're $1,200, $1,000. You don't have to do $300 an hour. You can do small group. A lot of my clients have done almost like semi-private Pilates, like reform, which is $35 to $50 a session for 6 to 8 people. You can make more money doing that. So there's different models.
A group session.
Yeah, it's almost like so that's like semi-private. Like I could do that if I had a bigger space. If I wanted to, I could do. Hey, it's fit. It's $600 and you get 10 drop-in PT visits and it's group. Now it's not as much one-on-one or hands-on, but it still can be helpful if I have one person to evaluate them. I know what they need to work on. There's different models, and I'm not saying that's the only one, but people will afford what they value and what they want, and not everyone is going to pay, even people with plenty of money.
People will afford what they value and what they want. And it's so interesting, the themes that cross over the different professions in healthcare, wellness care. And with 3 minutes left, is there anything else that you want to mention or give a shameless plug or anything at all that you want to share with the staffless practice community?
Yeah, I think, well, one, based on your title of your group, Staffless Practice, you should be using AI. I mean, I'm using like an AI answering, and it's not perfect, but it saves me a ton of time. And my life radically changed over the last few years with COVID and the divorce and a bunch of other stuff. And, I used to have 5 people in the clinic, and now it's just me. And it runs pretty well because I've had all these systems and automated systems for years. So you need to be automating your systems and leveraging AI to save you time. But you don't have to use it to, I still use it to, I still compose it on my own, but it'll help me tighten it up and saves me a ton of time. The other thing I would say is, you got to show up and do work, but you need to work smart, not hard. It's not about doing more, it's doing it smarter. And then the plug is, if you follow me on Instagram at Aaron LeBauer, send me a DM with the word book and I'll send you my book. You'll get a link for free to grab my book for free, cover shipping. And that's all automated as well. So
it's great, you guys. It's even if you're a chiro and you want to get some concepts down about stepping out of insurance, which I hear a lot. I just like how you write. I feel like I'm listening to someone tell me a story, and good job. Nice to get to know you, Aaron.
Thank you. Same.
You're doing great. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting me. This has been
absolutely great. So if you want to get connected with Aaron, it's at Aaron LeBauer, DM the word book, and he'll send you a copy of the book. And wherever you're watching this, you'll find his information too. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream. Aaron, please stay in the podcast room. For all those listening, go make the world better with great care. And thanks for listening today.